is KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank.
Welcome into That Football Show, presented by Holiday Distillery and our friends at Ben Holiday Bottled and Bond Bourbon. Look, you might need some bottled and bond bourbon for this time of the year. I'm Tucker Franklin, joined as always by Matty V, Matt Verderame. Matt, how you doing this week?
I'm good. How are you doing?
It's nice to have you ask that question. It's good. I'm going good. Everything's well in Kansas City. We've had a lot of storm. Have you guys had storms up in Chicago?
I live about an hour northwest of Chicago. First off, actually, in this moment, hope everybody's okay up in Iowa.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It's got blasted with one tornado after the next. Anywhere else, obviously, that was affected. But no, we were under a tornado watch for a good portion of the day. We were supposed to get pounded with thunderstorms. We got really lucky. Like, it went north of us. The only thing that was crazy last night, I was sitting in right here, actually, in my office, which is in my basement, and I heard what sounded like rain, like pounding the roof. And at first I was like, oh, it must be raining. It was like midnight. And then I was like, we have a piece of tin on top of the chimney. So, like, normally that's kind of I'm like, oh, yeah, it's raining. Mm-hmm. I didn't hear it. That's really bizarre. Went upstairs and looked out the window, and the trees were at like a 45-degree angle. Just the wind, not a tornado by any stretch, but like I would say legitimately 75 miles an hour for like 2 straight hours. Just, it would blow, then it would stop briefly, and it would do it again. So, like, this morning driving my daughter to school, it was just like stuff down everywhere. But yeah, luckily, no, nothing hard.
Yeah, there was a couple of obviously the tornadoes in Iowa. I went to college with a couple of people that were actually from Greenfield, Iowa, and they don't live there anymore. But like their childhood home's gone. Like it's one of those things where it's awful. There was a couple tornadoes actually, like EF1s that happened in Kansas City on Monday night, and like the tornado sirens didn't go off. Like, it was by Mill Valley High School. No, not great at all. But look, they'll go off every first Wednesday of the month.
I was about to say we have first Tuesday. Yeah, first Tuesday at 10. Yeah.
So they'll always go off. But no, I'm glad everything's well. I mean, it looks like there still might be some more severe weather coming, at least in the Kansas City area, closer to Friday at the end of the week. So hope everybody's safe like that. And I'm sure you tuned into this podcast for weather talk.
Yes. I tell you what, seriously, like, as everyone I'm sure knows now, like, I'm a New Yorker. We don't have tornadoes on the East Coast. We don't get them. It just doesn't happen. It's too mountainous.
Yeah.
Although actually last year a tornado hit near my hometown and like destroyed a lot of crop, which that is probably literally the first tornado that did any damage in 50, 60 years. Out in Illinois, the sirens go off. I'm underneath a couch. People are just like, oh, it's fine. Like, don't even worry about it. I'm horrified every time anything like that is in the air. I'm on a full alert. I don't know how people treat tornadoes in the Midwest like it's rain. Like, it's fine. I'm like, it's not fine. It's not fine at all. It's terrifying. Yeah. Luckily, where I live, it's a pretty built up area. So, like, I feel like tornado. And look, maybe somebody listening, it's like you're a moron. Like, this is obvious. Tornadoes, it seems like those wide open expanses, of course, are where they can build up because there's so much flat ground and speed. I'm fortunate enough that I kind of live in an area where it's built up enough that, something could happen, but like it probably wouldn't be the full force of something. Mm-hmm. Whereas obviously in a place, unfortunately, like Iowa, there's a lot of room. There's a lot of room and a lot of space for those things to roam.
There certainly is. But look, this time of the year, obviously, if you listen to 21 Questions I had with Sterling Holmes on there, we talked about, there's this time of the year is kind of a dead period for the NFL. We've got OTAs kicking up. This is phase 3. We'll have, today is actually, I believe, the last day of the first section, and then they have a next section next week. I think it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then they have another section, and then they have mandatory mini camps. And then the mandatory mini camps will be off until training camp. So there's a lot of practices going on. Practice is a real stretch, I think, of what you're calling these. These are like workouts. They're t-shirt and shorts. Like, you can't wear pads. You can wear your helmets, but you can't wear any pads. There's no contact. It's like 7-on-7, 11-on-11. And 9-on-7, I think you can do as well, but there's no contact. The NFLPA will get after you if you do have any contact. So there's not a whole lot really going on. It's really like an acclimation process for these.
I appreciate that they wear helmets.
Yeah, no, that's good.
You know, because God forbid somebody were to just fall head first right into the ground. You know, it feels like a hat would suffice. Maybe even just nothing, like just a T-shirt and shorts work. Look, here's what you need to know about OTAs. The biggest thing that's come out of this OTA so far with the Chiefs is the picture of Mahomes walking into the building and people just being like, "Dad bod? Is he in good shape? Is he in bad shape?" Like that's the biggest. Like that's like this massive storyline coming out of OTA for the Chiefs. It's like Mahomes is like body fat percentage.
I think you take that honestly if you're the Chiefs at this point in terms of big storylines.
Yeah, you're the Chiefs are like, please, more photos of Mahomes. You know, the thing that I cracks me up with that is everybody noticed this last year. You know, when he was talking after the game, I think it was after the Baltimore game, and he was shirtless in the locker room, and it's like, well, yeah, he's a dad too, man. Like just because he's a pro athlete doesn't mean like the dad bod's not a real thing. Like I personally appreciate that he's basically like, I mean, he's in better shape than me, but like in a similar shape to me, and it's just dominating the NFL. It gives me hope. Like, here all these guys were jacked up out of their minds, and Mahomes was just like, yeah, sure, I'll go out and have some Denny's, and then just rolls in and just destroys the entire NFL. It's awesome.
Just normalizing the dad bod. That's what we all wanted. We just don't want it normalized. I
mean, people I don't realize Joe Montana's nickname in San Francisco was Bird Legs because he had no leg muscles at all. Peyton Manning was basically a bag of milk with a head.
That's true.
And like it worked out. But by the way, Tom Brady for most of his career, also a bag of milk with a head. And then like at the end of his career, started eating like avocado ice cream.
Gosh.
It's fine. Like it's fine. And I really like he's not a cornerback. Like he's not like where's he going? And like he's always outrun everybody. And he was dad bod at the end of last year. So I appreciate though that was like this huge debate. Like how concerned should everyone be? Like I'm gonna go with zero concern. But that's just me.
Right. I don't think there's any concern there. Also, a very, very funny omissions in that video that the Chiefs tweeted out. There's no Wanya Morris in that video. There's no Rashee Rice. There was no Harrison Butker. We did not get to see them report to training here and report to these OTAs.
Came in with like sheets around them.
No photos. Another news nugget. I hesitate to say news nugget. It was made a news nugget by Adam Schefter. That Rashee Rice was reporting. And in other news, we're doing this podcast this week. Breaking news. But anyway, Rashee Rice is there the day after yesterday when we're recording this podcast. Tom Pelissero, and I mentioned this on Only Weird Games, very oddly was just like, oh yeah, by the way, those charges are dropped. And like the way he reported that, I was like, that's kind of weird. But those charges have been dropped. I believe the photographer called it in an affidavit a miscommunication or a misunderstanding. I don't know how you can misunderstand getting punched in the face. Nevertheless,
it does seem odd.
Charges have been dropped against Rashee Rice in that suit. I still anticipate the NFL will look into that. I mean, there's been charges get dropped and the NFL still suspend people for things. Several occasions I could probably point out just on the Kansas City Chiefs. But he still has his pending litigation, obviously, with the car crash that he was involved in on Easter weekend that we still wait to see. And he's participating in these team activities probably until further notice.
Right. I mean, look, from the Chiefs' perspective, the fact that the alleged assault that is no longer an alleged assault, like that's a good thing for the Chiefs. I have my own questions about that. I'm going to go ahead and guess we're not going to give any answers. If I am the Chiefs, I'm not even bothering putting Rashee Rice on the field for OTAs. Like, I'm just going to sit him down in an office and have just one executive after the next walk in there and be, hey, Rashee, maybe you don't go back to Dallas. Maybe, like, we just send somebody down there to pack up all your stuff and pay for it, and, like, we'll move it to Kansas City, and you just stay here.
Yeah.
And, like, maybe we drive you around, and you don't drive a car for a little while. Like, maybe we will pay. We'll drive you around in a Maserati if that's what you want. But, like, that's what you're going to do. Like if I'm Brett Veach, I would legitimately tell him, if you get so much as a traffic ticket the rest of this offseason, you are going to have a very unpleasant conversation with the brass of this organization. Like anything else, we got to, because at this point, look, let's face it. I mean, it stands to reason he's going to be suspended.
Yeah.
Based on as you mentioned on Easter weekend, what happened down in Dallas with his reckless driving and whatnot. He needs to just not do anything else. In fact, the teams, you know how that when they do the franchise, they have they always show Clark Hunt speaking to the entire team at the beginning of the season. It's like they're all in this big kind of auditorium setting. They should do that right now and just have the police department come in. Big guys, we only want to see you on television. We really love watching the games. We really don't want to have to pull anybody over and or arrest anyone. So let's not run into each other between now and September 5th. They should just instead of Clark speaking, it should just be the lieutenant of the Kansas City Police Department.
Yeah.
There you go. Because that seems like that might actually do more work for the Chiefs than Clark Hunt going up there and going, listen, guys, we'll have to win another one. Really, really looking for one for the old thumb here. Hope to see everybody back here. Can't wait and remember what it means to be a Chief. Because right now, I got to tell you, this offseason, not what you're looking for from a PR perspective.
Right.
But yeah, not shocked that Rashee Rice is at OTAs. That would have been really something if he was like, no, I'm good. You imagine? He's like, I'm staying down in Dallas. I got it covered. My off season's gone good enough. I'm going to stay right here. That'd have been fun.
Look, I don't think I've seen Travis Kelce report, but also that's fine. These are voluntary. Mahomes truthfully doesn't really have to be there. But good quarterback, good leader. He's going to get there, build that chemistry. But
Kelce, Chris Jones,
I hope Chris Jones isn't there. Truthfully,
I don't care. Even a guy like Joe Tooney, something like that. It's fine, bro. I don't care. Everybody else, all right, you've maybe only been there a few years, whatever. But Tooney's only been there for 3 years. But he's a vet. He's been in a million Super Bowls. Guys like that. In fact, I'll go the other way too. Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You do you, man. It's fine. But no, guys like that, even it's okay. I don't.
Yeah.
Now Mahomes is there, and that's cool. If Kelsey's still hanging out on the World Eras tour, that's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine. Go do you, man. He'll be there. It's okay. I'm not too worried about him getting the playbook down. I think he's in pretty good shape.
Yeah, that's what the big thing is here. Is I think it's really big for the acclimation. Obviously, Mahomes being there for Xavier Worthy is gonna be big and gonna be huge. But as we're recording this podcast today on Wednesday, Chiefs are slated to hit the podium. We'll have some of that stuff on Chiefs News Daily. You can find it here on the audio podcast feed or on YouTube. If you're watching this video, you can find that on both places. We'll have everything you need to know from those pressers. But as the time we're recording this podcast, we've not heard from Mahomes. We've not heard from Reed in quite some time. There's just not a whole lot to really take from this OTA session, as we mentioned before. But Matty Lane mentioned this on Monday's KC Lab, and he made a good point. About this time last year is when we started to hear that, hey, Rashee Rice might be pretty good. He might end up clicking with things, and I kind of want to hear some of that stuff, starting with, Hollywood Brown. That would be great if I heard that. Xavier Worthy too. I want to see hey, these guys are really starting to get the hang of things coming up here, and I just can't wait to get another clip of Xavier Worthy dropping a football and everyone completely overreacting about it.
Apoplectic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, no, listen, you know what? That'd be fine. That's cool. I'm curious who the starting left tackle is right now.
Yeah.
That's interesting to me. I'm looking for the breathless report that is undoubtedly coming, where it's tell you what, Kadarius Toney's catching everything. He looks good. He looks good. I love. Let me. I gotta pull this up because I saw this yesterday, and this is not any slam on the reporter, to be clear. But I saw this. I was like, what are we doing here? Oh, here it is. Diana Rossini of The Athletic, who does, by the way, let me say, does a great job. And I don't know her very well. I've run into her a few times. Always been super nice. Like, I'm just using this just to make a broader point. She tweets out, these updates from Florham Park from the Jets reporters are fire emojis. Aaron Rodgers appears to be putting on a show in all caps. He's fucking throwing like 7-on-7s in a t-shirt. Like, what are we talking about? And then I saw another report, I think it was NBC Sports, was like, man, Panthers receivers are saying Bryce Young looks great. Oh, shit, I'd hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no defense. And it's like when guys do pro days and they complete like 45 of 48 passes and people are just like, hot damn.
Yep.
90%. Like, they've been working on this for months. There's nothing but air. Like, these are guys who are going to be pro athletes. Like, that's like saying if I walked outside and had a catch with somebody, I should catch like 9 out of 10 balls. Like, yeah, I'd hope so. Mm-hmm. I'm standing 10 feet away from the guy. Like, I want the report where like the coach goes to the podium after OTAs. He's like, got to tell you, we had high hopes for a couple of these guys. Not going to happen. Not good. Looked like shit. Like, I just one time. I feel like if that ever happens, it's Tomlin. Like, Mike walks up and is like, can't play. Just can't do it. Guy's not a good route runner. Bad hands. Look at him. Probably going to cut him. Like,
one of the receivers that they took in the draft that was a complete flyer because of character concerns.
Tomlin's just already, he's like, we're going to distance ourselves from him. Like, but I love like the breathless reports that come out of some of these places.
No, yeah, it's just
like, what are we doing? But then on the flip side, to your point, Xavier Worthy drops a pass off a jugs machine, going like 80 miles an hour. And it's like, oh my God, he's just another guy who can't catch.
In his very first, I just want to clarify, that's his very first rep in an NFL camp setting of any sort. He's catching off of a jugs machine, a ball that was high, and he just got done
over his head,
running a route.
Also,
through cones.
To the point of Rashee Rice and like the reports, remember his first report? Remember the first thing that came out about him after the start of training camp?
He threw up.
He threw up, and people are like, "This guy's he's out of shape. He's a mess." He does like, and then he went out and almost 1,000 yards. It was the best rookie receiver the Chiefs have ever had. And it's like, look, man, just when they drafted Shamari Connor.
Mm-hmm.
Nate Taylor and I were having this discussion on Friday on the podcast I do over on Patreon, and we were discussing this different like hey, does Shamari Connor play the slot? Like you and I talked about that, I believe, last week. So like we were having a kind of similar conversation, and Nate was like, I talked to Dave Merritt, and he's like, Merritt was telling me how like this kid like. It's bad. Like he can't play defensive back. And then the guy ends up going out and does what he does. Yeah. Right? And I remember when I talked to somebody in that building after they drafted him, they were adamant, like, he is a special teams ace. That's why we took him. That's the and then the guy goes out and has a phenomenal rookie year. He's getting thrown in a playoff game. It's fine. I mean, don't go too far one way or the other based off of May 22nd. That's all I'm saying.
That's very fair. I think that's a rule that we should carry in our everyday lives as well. May 22nd, don't go too far off of it. But spring meetings are also going on right now for the NFL. The owners are. Do you know where that's at? I don't know where that's at.
Nashville.
Oh, nice place for spring meetings. And they're in Nashville. They've got some stuff coming out of there, some murmurs coming out of there. The Pelissero report that I talked about was, I believe, from the spring
I'm sure he's down there.
Meetings. But we're going to take a break first before we talk about some of the changes that could be coming to the NFL. Coming up next.
We appreciate you supporting KC Sports Network by listening to our podcast. You have helped us become the highest-ranked Chiefs podcast network in 2022 and 2023. And don't forget about our daily Substack newsletter, the best written analysis you can find on the Chiefs straight to your inbox every day. kcsn.substack.com.
There could possibly be some changes coming to the NFL, and especially the way that the game is legislated, as there is a new rule slated to be voted on about first down markers. There could be changes to the chains, as there is currently a rule out there for the NFL to test first down technology in the preseason if that is approved in 2024. I think it's been something that a lot of people have, I don't want to say clamored, because I think it's been something of like, okay, why are we still using two poles tied to chains to determine first downs when we have all of this technology here that we can use? According to Jonathan Jones, it will make for a more accurate measuring system that reduces the amount of human error. I think that's a great idea. There's already microchips in the footballs for all the data tracking they do and everything like that. So thoughts on potentially getting rid of the chains, Matt?
I'm against it. I enjoy when the chain gang comes out and there's that drama of like, how far is the chain going to stretch? And then like, and invariably, like, whatever, it's like 3 chain lengths longer than you thought it was going to be or shorter. And then people just absolutely lose their minds. Like, this is an injustice. So like, is it real? Like, I don't know. I feel like the next thing is going to be like, okay, if you do this electronically, guess what the next part of this is going to be? Well, when was he down?
Yeah.
When did forward progress stop? We can't see. There was a pile up. Well, the ball's still moving. When was he actually down in the pile? Do we just go with how far along the ball was? Do we go back to when we know he might have been down? How do we prove it? When did he cross the out of bounds line? Do we have to put do we have to put like a dog fence now? Like where where the out of bounds markers are? Like at some point, too much technology is a bad thing. Like, it's fine. It's fine. And look, here would be my adjustment, because I do think there have been times where like you look at some of these markings and you're like, if you challenge a call, you get it right, you just get to keep challenging. Like, why is it only like, well, if you get 2 right, you get the 3rd? No, if you can challenge 5 times, get them all right, you get a 6th one. Like, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
I don't have any problem with that. And we've seen this the last couple of years now, like the NFL will just like radio down immediately and be like, hey, like it's wrong, adjust it. Okay. I mean, put Sky Judge in. Just do that. Like, my problem with this is going to be, because you can just see this coming. Like, well, the ball, he wasn't totally down and blah, blah, blah. And like just, it's fine. The chain gang's fine. And it's hilarious. It's the most outdated, antiquated. Let's stick with it. I enjoy it. I enjoyed when like MLB umpires wore blazers. Bring it back. Bring it back. I want men in suits calling balls and strikes. It's fine. We've gone too far.
Jonathan Jones says that this is optical tracking. It's based on optical tracking, not necessarily the microchip in the football, that this technology won't actually use those microchips. It's a system that's already been used at MetLife and Hard Rock stadiums, but will be installed around the league in time for preseason testing if it is passed. And if there are any issues, he also reports this could be pushed back to the 2025 campaign as well. It's interesting that they're debating it, and it's been something that's been talked about. But I'm kind of with you. I do like the chain gang just vibe and the feel of like, yeah, that's what we do here. This is how we measure first down, with 2 poles tied to a chain that are evenly spaced 10 yards apart. I think that if you could still keep the chains in it, but also use a little bit of technology. Like, I think there's a good blend of both to it, right? I think that there's a good mix of like, let's not completely eliminate the chains. Let's keep the chains out here, but we can also use this to assist. Not necessarily be the end all be all with it. I think that there's probably a good mix in there.
I really, of all the officiating problems in the NFL, this is the thing. This is the thing. It's like if your car doesn't have an engine and you're like, it would be great?
New stereo.
Big just subwoofer in the back.
Yeah.
Like, bro, you can't drive. Yeah, I feel like they can't figure out what a catch is. They've completely destroyed the roughing the passer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all these different things. They've just destroyed any clarity whatsoever. And they're like, listen, we know that's a problem. But what if we create another problem with first down markings? What if we did that? Because that's a problem. That all see clearly. I mean, how many games in your life have you ever been like, you know where we got screwed in that game? That first down marker. I mean,
Right.
like, how many times you ever walked away from an NFL game and been like, that's the reason that team lost, that first down mark?
Right.
You probably got them on one hand, right? But like, I got a lot of games where you're like, yeah, you know why that team lost? Because Chris Jones hit Tom Brady's shoulder and got called for slamming him in the head. Like, that's why. I just like. I think sometimes we lose the plot with this stuff. Like, it's just not that big of a deal. Who cares? Like, I don't know. Does it really matter that much? Like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people in the comments, maybe they'll scream at me, and that's fine. Go ahead, scream. I don't understand like the big deal with this.
They'll scream at us no matter what.
Yeah, it's fine. It's good to know they care.
It's great to know that they care. That wasn't the only change that kind of came out, or potential change, I should say. Owners are also investigating rule changes for potential team ownership. According to Michael Rothstein, one of the possibilities on the table is for allowing institutional wealth, including private equity, to invest in NFL franchises, which the league has never permitted before.
Well, guess what? Here it comes.
Shocker.
I hope that the NFL is like, hey, listen, you know what we need? More money. How do we get more money? Can we bring it in from like the most corrupt places on earth? Sure. Why not? Are they willing to give us billions? Because we'll take it. Gotta love it.
According to Rothstein, he also said he explained how the revenue can gain from selling off minority stakes in a franchise could free up cash for owners to pursue projects such as stadium renovations. I also saw that I think the majority owner has to own at least 30% now. I think is something that came with that in the team. So, and it also said beside exceptions. And I was like, what? So do they have to?
Or have enough money that makes it worth it for us?
Right. Pretty much. So I think a lot of times too, like especially with the Cronkies, you see you're like, oh, only this person can own the team, right? And so then because like Cronky Sports Unlimited that owns a bunch of other teams,
right? The Avalanche,
yeah. So like they find ways around it, right? I mean, there's like this isn't doing anything new for like owners currently. This is to get forward money, to what I believe.
It's the NFL and it's money. They will figure out any possible way. Like if KCSN offers them a Tuesday night streaming package that is enough money, okay, if BJ's going to pony up, like guess what? You're getting Bears Lions Tuesday night on KCSN. Like, that's what's going to happen. And I don't care if they don't have any rest. I mean, if the NFL could get money by playing a doubleheader, they would do it. Like, hey, we're going to have the Raiders and Broncos come to Arrowhead on a Sunday. It's good. 2 games, but for the price of 2, nobody gets a free game. Like, everybody evacuates the stadium, and then we bring them all back in. You know? Go for like a noon and then an 8 kick. I'm shocked, honestly, the NFL hasn't been like, we can do this. We can make it happen.
The only thing stopping them is the PA.
Yeah. It's like, what do we think? Like, we could have the Raiders waiting in the parking lot. The Broncos could play at noon after they get their asses kicked. Like, we'll swap Denver up. We'll clean the locker room out. The Raiders come in. Everybody can slap 5 on the way out.
Yep.
And then the hell will clean in the stadium. We'll just evacuate everybody like it's a fire drill. And then bring them all back in. We'll charge them again. If they're too drunk to stand, it's fine. Let them pass out in the aisle. Not a problem. At least we know that they bought some Bud Light, which is one of our key sponsors. Like, gotta love it. That might be 5 years down the road, but we're going to get there.
Another thing that came out from this, too, is the NFL is looking into other foreign markets to play in. Australia was the big one that was mentioned. And, like, logistical nightmare. Like, that is just a logistical nightmare.
Hey, guys, how do you feel about a flight that literally takes a day off your life? How do you feel about that? But doing it, like, in the span of, 5 days. Like, out and back, baby. Why don't they just build a stadium on Antarctica and see how things play out?
They're trying to play on every continent, I'm convinced.
Hey, look, they played that Chiefs-Dolphins game, so they could do it. We know they can do it.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know. I love football. I love the NFL, but boy, I'll tell you. I'm convinced. I mean, man, they will play anywhere, anytime if the money's right. I mean it. Like if you got like money from like Bangladesh and they were like, what do you think? Wednesday at 5 a.m., how much you offering? $1 billion. Done. Not even a question. We'll send the whole league over. Doesn't matter. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy.
If you do play in like Australia, one of the places that Peter O'Reilly, who is the NFL's head of international affairs, mentioned, he mentioned Australia. He also mentioned Asia and Pacific is what he said. I think he means like the Pacific Islands out there.
Philippines, like.
Yeah. You got to think about distance and like logistics, everything that's very real. Maybe that's a possibility where, I think we all kind of anticipate the NFL to go to an 18-game schedule at some point. And once they do, they have to add a second bye week. And if you do that, if you're playing in Australia, do you have a double bye? Do you have a bye, play in Australia, a bye after that? That would be awful. But, like, logistically, that's probably the only way to do it.
Are we sure they're going to add a double bye or a second bye?
I think the PA has a rule in there if they play 18 games.
Okay, because the NFLPA is the worst union in professional sports.
Yeah, I'm looking that up.
The NFLPA is a joke. Okay, it is a joke. And don't anybody tell you differently. You know why it's a joke? Because unlike in basketball and hockey and baseball, they don't have guaranteed contracts. So these players, they have very little, even though it sounds weird to say about guys making a ton of money, they have very little financial security because their careers are short. The average player, the career is 4 years. They don't have guaranteed contracts. Like, I remember sitting in one time down, it was at a Super Bowl. Where was it? It's in Atlanta. Pats Rams Super Bowl, the more recent one. And they, like the union had a meeting and they were sitting there and we're listening to this whole thing and they're talking about how, we might have to have a strike or a lockout next off season and blah, blah, blah. And there goes this whole thing. And they're like, well, it's cool though, because we told the players to save their Madden royalty checks. And I'm like, well, how much are those? Like, well, it depends. If you saved it for 4 years, it's like $68,000. I was like, you think you're surviving a lockout with guys on $68,000?
Yeah.
Like, they couldn't save the millions they've been making, but the $68,000, like they're like what? They're going to cut out coupons and go to Aldi? Like, what, are you kidding me? And like some of these guys, like if you only played for like 1 year, it was $17,000. Like, what planet are you guys on? That's why the NFLPA never can get anything. And people are like, they should strike and get rid of the franchise tag. Good luck with that.
Right.
These guys don't have a shelf life. They're not going to sit out. So yeah, look, the 18-game schedule is definitely coming. Here's my guess as to what's going to happen. I think you're going to have, I do think you'll have 2 buys. Because I just think that actually is the one thing. I think they'll get so much crap if they don't give them 2 buys.
Yeah.
You have the 9 home, 9 away, but I think what's going to happen is every team is going to play an international game each season. And you'll probably rotate, like the AFC team is the home team, the NFC team is the home team, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably where this is going. Which, I'm not going to be the guy who bitches about an 18-game schedule. Because I got to tell you, football's fun. Like, I'm not exactly like, oh, there's too many games. Meanwhile, like, it says the guy who's a baseball fan. Like, it is half a month of baseball. I don't mind 18 games or the double, 2 buys. It's fine. What I mind is that they basically pimp these players out to a point where it's like, hey, guys, we really don't give a shit. Like, if you play on a Wednesday, a Friday, 3 games in 10 days, we don't care that travel's ridiculous. Like, that stuff to me is a joke. Like, if you want to extend it to 18 weeks, that's fine. I don't even care if you want to have 1 international game for each team. You want to do that, that's fine. Like, I don't have a big issue with that. Mm-hmm. But then can you stop jamming up these guys and making them play in like 5 different days of the week each year? Like, maybe just like give these guys a little bit of a break here.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing. An idea that was thrown out, I believe this was by Joe Burrow, or I don't know if the idea was by Joe Burrow, but Joe Burrow talked about it. It was the most prominent person to talk about it, was like an all-star week, right? Where it's like a universal bye for all the teams. That could be an interesting exploration there. The league did vote to have 10 international games coming up here. I don't think that there's to move to 10 games. I think there's 8 right now. No, that's not right. 4 or 5. There's 6 right now.
Yeah.
There's 6 that are going to move to 8. Sorry, and they want to move eventually to 10. Dublin, Ireland was also a place that was mentioned in the article that I was reading there from the AP about potentially going to Australia. Dublin, Ireland makes a lot of sense. I think the college football plays games there already, so there is already a football footprint there. So I mean, it could work, but like, the logistics of like moving like further outside of like Spain and like Germany, if you're moving further east, like it gets tough. It gets tough there, especially when your home base is starting to get days away.
Right. By the way, if you're wondering why all of a sudden like music started playing, I was scrolling through Twitter just to make sure we weren't missing any news, and Rashee Rice posted 3 pictures and a video.
He did, yeah. I saw that.
So the video has a little bit of music. So
we're so back.
I was going to say, I'll tell you what though, smart move by Rashee Rice. Nobody could reply.
Oh, he turned the replies off.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and guess that was it. Maybe the request of someone. Yeah. So just wanted to talk. If people are like, "What?" Verderame just jam out some rap music. No, not quite.
Yeah.
But in any event, hey, listen. So we've covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah, we have.
We've gone around the world essentially. We got a few minutes left. I was just gonna hijack the beginning of the show, but now I'm gonna bring this up at the end. So it appears Inside the NBA is going away, which feels like a really dumb decision. Looks like NBC is getting the NBA package. I will tell you, as a child of the 90s, as much as I hate that Inside the NBA is going away, I think NBC should just bring it over as their studio show.
Correct.
Which I still kind of think is what's going to happen in the
yeah.
And just like, are you kidding me? You're not going to do that? If the NBA on NBC does not have Round Ball Rock as its theme, and I know like they're like, well, we're recording a new version. If they screw up Round Ball Rock, I am going to call NBC every day and scream into the phone. Like, don't even change the graphics. Leave it alone. It was the most perfect presentation of sport ever. Don't screw it up. And I have a deep-seated fear they're going to screw it up. Like, as a kid, the Knicks in the 90s, like, I love the NBA on NBC. Between the music, and then they did like they had like those like the intros where they would have like a video essay for 90s. Go back to the video essays. Man, those things make you feel like the game is so much bigger than a game. And they would have like Bob Costas and like Dick Enberg do it. Oh my God, those things were amazing. Don't screw it up. Don't screw it up, NBC. Go back, Round Ball Rock, same graphics if it's different, like just slightly, and like let's party. Like I am so jacked for the Knicks are getting good, the Pacers are getting good. Like it's time for the NBA. I mean, all we need is the Bulls to step up, and we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Like the NBA and NBC, like Marv Albert, like bring him in.
Yeah,
like it's just. I am so pumped that is going to be a reality. Inside the NBA going away, terrible. The rest of it, amazing.
I'm with you. I think that NBC almost has to. Like, NBC almost has to bring that in and over. Like, I thought about that when I saw the tweet today. I was like, wow, if you're NBC and you don't try to, I'm going to say this in air quote, poach those guys over to NBC, like I mean, that's tough. Because what are they doing at TNT now? They can't do anything.
Nothing at all. So you're going to get them covering hockey? It's crazy. They should absolutely come over. Man, like NBA and NBC, if people didn't watch it or maybe they're younger, like I can't express as a kid what an institution that was. Like, as a kid, they had Sunday afternoon games back half of the season, and then they would have the playoffs. And you heard the beginning of that song, and you're like, it's a big game. Like, it's all you need to know. You heard that song, and you, like, the first note of it, like, damn, this is big. This is a big game. I am looking forward to that. I wanted to ask you, because I know we're getting out of here.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite? I'm a big nerd for this stuff, granted, but do you have a favorite, like, intro music for, like, a sport? Like that, like
Sunday Night Football is my favorite. I think NBC does themes really well. And Sunday Night Football is my favorite. A lot of times, though, it does give me like a Pavlov's dog's response of like, oh shit, I got school tomorrow, type of deal with Sunday Night Football. But like, I still like that one is my favorite. Like Monday Night Football, obviously a classic. But there's something about the Sunday Night Football one that is, and also the SEC on CBS, which is not happening anymore. That one also is just so nostalgic.
Yeah, I mean, that for me, even though I don't watch a lot of college football, like whenever I heard that theme, I was like,
yep.
I get like this is gonna be a big game.
This is gonna get big game because SEC always would do those midday primetime games with like on CBS. Yes, and they always do that, and they load them up with the good crew right there. It's those two are my favorite.
And look, some of this is like when you grew up and everything else. So I understand that because I'm sure there are people of a certain age who would be like, "Oh, well, is this or whatever." But like, man, for me, like in the '90s, I remember distinctly like when the NFL was on NBC. That was the AFC package, and you would hear like that music come on, and you like it was always like that was like, oh, it's football. You know, and then as time went on, like you had the NFL on CBS, you know, from which originally the NFC and then became the AFC.
Right.
I'm big on like drama, like build the drama. You know, I like that to me. That's what it's all about. Like it makes sports feel like they're bigger than sports. It just feels like some game and like what like now, and it feels like more that to me, for the record. One of the best ones I ever did was actually recently. Now, it wasn't an intro song, but it was a video essay. Anybody listen to this, go watch the video intro that they did for the 2019 AFC title game with the Titans and the Chiefs. And it is on YouTube in full. The theme of it is Don't Stop Believing. And it's like they interview like Tim McGraw from Nashville and like Melissa Etheridge from the Chiefs and like all these people. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, like it, and then like they break from the video, and they have like this aerial shot of Arrowhead, and it's crystal clear. It's cold as hell. Like it's everything that you could ever want in like 9 minutes to explain like why football matters to you. It's awesome, and networks should do more of this stuff. Build it up. Why should I care? And that's why I'm most excited about the NBA going on NBC because nobody does it better than NBC. NBC will present you why it matters, and that's cool.
Yeah, I've always been a big NBC fan. I've been to 30 Rock a couple times. It's pretty. I do love. Been at Top of the Rock. Top of the Rock's a good time.
Rainbow Room.
I did. Yeah.
You ever go into the Saturday Night Live studio?
I did. I didn't do that.
It's cool. It's so small. Like you wouldn't think it's. I've always wanted to go like get tickets, go to a show.
Yeah,
it's so damn hard. My parents went one time, but like it's a cool setting. I mean, it's so much smaller than you think. It's so much more.
Right.
But yeah, man. Hey, I'm taking my 6-year-old daughter to Times Square in July.
God bless.
She's such a mature kid for her age. So like, she's like, I want to go into New York City and because it's like an hour and a half ride. My God, we're gonna be home for 3 weeks. I'm like, I'll take it. I'm like, what do you want to see? I want to see the Statue of Liberty. Like, okay.
Yep.
And I want to see the place with all the lights. I'm like, Times Square?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want to see Times Square. I'm like, all right. Now, our bedtime normally 7:30, but I was like, we got to go at night. You know? I told her, I was like, listen, honey, there's a good to fair chance here. You're going to see an inebriated Elmo and a guy naked playing a guitar. Like, you got to accept that into your life.
Yeah.
You know, you got to deal with that. You got to deal with women running around like nipple tassels. It's going to happen. And I know there are people listening to this right now who are like, you're a horrible parent. You know what? Life happens, people. Like, it's okay. She wants to go, like, if you've never been to Times Square, there's a Disney store, there's a Hershey store, and there's an M&M store where the whole wall are just these like big cylinders of different M&Ms. You just pull the lever and they all come out.
It's incredible.
I'll tell you right now, man. I'm going down there with a couple $100. I don't care. Whatever that kid wants, fine. I don't care what we walk out with. As long as I can carry it back to the train, we're good. So I'm loading up. I want her to just walk out of there being like, this is unbelievable.
That's awesome.
Like a paradise, right? You know?
Yeah. No, it's I always love the 30 Rock was a really cool experience. Maybe that fostered my love for NBC. I've always kind of had it, but weird to have biases towards network programming. But nevertheless, here we are. Matt, appreciate your time today on That Football Show. Appreciate our partners, Holiday Distillery and Ben Holiday Bottled and Bond Bourbon. Make sure to give us a 5-star rating and a review. If you're listening to this on the podcast platform, give us some feedback. If you do a written review, we really appreciate that. Look, if you want to give us a bad review, just make sure it's 5 stars, and then just tell us how much we suck, and we would appreciate that. Those do go a long way. Let us know in the comment section what your favorite themes are for any sport. Really, we'd love to hear those. I love that conversation. I love the inside nitty gritty, the little kind of the inside baseball of what goes on with like networks and everything like that. So
This Week in Baseball, great theme.
Yeah, phenomenal. I loved watching that. Like, they still do that? There's no way they still do that, right?
No, well, like back in the 70s and 80s, they did. I go with Mel Allen. It's great theme.
I remember, I think Bob Costas did it when I was growing up. Maybe it was Bob. But it was still pretty good. But that's going to do it for this episode of That Football Show. We appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to you guys next week.